Welcome to Creature Guy Live. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ethan. We're going to get into some prehistoric and current animal news from around the world and take a look at some interesting animal videos. So, starting off with Tico or the TicoTimes.net. Puma spotted near tourists in Colorado. Okay, this just seems to be a relaxed cougar, probably at some rescue center, maybe even big cat rescue over in Florida. Maybe I don't think the Wild Animal Sanctuary over in Colorado, which is a 1,000-acre rescue center that has grizzly bears, rescued lions, cougars, jaguars in the area, Asiatic black bears. Okay, the short encounter was recorded on a cell phone by Keeler Mung, a local tour guide who was leading an excursion on Friday, February 6th. Mung said the sighting happened around 11:48 a.m. and said that it was a reminder and that it was a reminder of how unpredictable nature can be. Hmm. Let's see. Puma sightings in Corcovado are not unheard of, but guides and frequent visitors describe them as uncommon, especially in open view and in close proximity to people. Mung says that most visitors hoping to spot a puma typically scan the forest with binoculars or similar tools, and that it's unusual for the animal to present itself so freely. Mung shares wildlife encounters from the Osa Peninsula on Instagram under the handle at Corcovado Key Tours. We regularly post photos and videos of species seen on tours, including tapirs, snakes, monkeys, and toucans. Hmm. Wonder, whoa. Um, Hold on, let's finish this off first. Biologists generally describe pumas as elusive animals that tend to avoid people. Research out of the UC Santa Cruz Puma Project found the mountain lion showed strong avoidance behavior around humans, including fleeing when they heard human noises. Yeah, so whatever it's showing, that's odd. If I'm seeing that correctly. Costa Rica's environment authorities have also warned that wildlife encounters can increase where human activity overlaps with natural habitats. In a recent set of public recommendations circulated by the Ministry of Environment and Energy and the National System of Conservation Areas, the government pointed to habitat fragmentation and food attractants such as poorly managed trash or pet food left outdoors as factors that can draw wildlife closer to populated or frequently used areas. San Pedrillo, reached by many visitors as a day trip entry point from Drake Bay, is one of Corcovado's best known access areas, with beach landings and short hikes common on guided visits. Okay, so let's see. Anything else? Just seems to be warnings. Okay, so let's take a look at what occurred over in this part of, I think it was Brazil. So you have a puma that just walked right up to a large group of people. Now it seems to be a small female. But that's nuts. I've never seen this before. At least I don't think okay. Not including those encounters in certain parts of Utah, Colorado, California, where
This is a little different, right?
they have come up to a couple of people or a single person. Okay, there also have been those instances where there have been those fatalities over on a couple of people over in California. But it's so calm amongst them. Interesting.
Was that the end?
Um, oh yeah, yep. It's just warnings or guidelines. Okay, so taking a look at some trail camera footage from the Voyagers Wolf Project over in northeastern Minnesota. Okay, so here we've got a mustelid sniffing. Oh, a pine marten. That was another species beforehand. So some white-tailed buck. Many creatures seem to be using this game trail, which I guess makes sense. I wonder what he's sniffing for.
You could smell the wolf from when it was, oh, right when I say that.
And the pine marten seems to be a bit startled. It's not giving us times on these though, but maybe others weren't in these different segments. So it is interesting. You had one wolf going the opposite direction, and then I
Oh,
guess the
look camera.
rest probably the rest of the pack heading in the same direction that everyone was during the summer.
I always wonder why they lick the camera.
Um, yeah, probably to help just place some of their scent on the camera, and also so they have a very well seen live stream. And he seems to be a bit cheerful.
He's sniffing the pine marten.
Wonder what they're all going for. Almost like no, you do have it where several animals have somewhat deposited their scent here, but it's quite interesting. They really like this area. Maybe it's just one of their routine routes. Hmm. You might be looking for certain rodents, like maybe even voles under the snow, which is not just such. It's not just animals like greater horned owls or the great gray owls. Actually, what I'm also thinking of, and red foxes that will prey on voles. You can even have it where wolves or even bears will go after them. At least black bears in this area.
Think you left out the foxes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't seen any moose or even black bears roam in this area or this specific game trail. Just one whitetail buck and a couple of mustelids or weasels. Oh, well, here's a Canadian lynx. That's a little less common, so that's interesting. Oh, this is in the summer.
Their tails are so short.
Yeah, and puffy. There's the wolf. Hmm. Wonder when this is occurring.
I
Might
wonder
be
how
some
long
part
of a
of.
period of time this is over.
Wonder if it was like late spring or possibly early fall when that occurred.
Oh,
Guessing that was probably peak winter in the other shots of footage. So, moving on to the next article from phys.org. Oldest known reptile skin impressions dated to 298 million years ago, found in Germany. Oh, let's take a look. I mean, this is back in the at the beginning of the Permian period. So this is even before animals like Metrodon and Dilophosaurus. Who else specifically? Diplocalus. So, an international research team led by Dr. Lorenzo Marchetti from the Museum für Naturkunde Berlin has described the oldest known impressions of reptile skin from the Thuringian forest in central Germany. Particularly remarkable is the possible preservation of a cloacal opening within the skin imprint. The fossils dated to approximately 298 to 299 million years ago from the early Permian period document detailed scale patterns from of the stem group of modern reptiles for the first time. So results were published today in the journal Current Biology. Earliest reptile skin from Germany. The exceptionally well preserved skin impressions were discovered in association with fossil resting traces and footprints of early reptiles with the Gold Lauder Formation. The sites include the Kabars Quarry near Tabars, as well as Flo Siligenthal. Modern radiometric dating of volcanic ash layers has enabled precise age determination, making these the oldest direct evidence of reptile skin known to date. Skin structures such as scales, feathers, or horny beaks are known from numerous dinosaur fossils, sometimes preserved as organic material and sometimes only as surface impressions. Okay, I think I've gone on for a little bit. I'm not too familiar with the Golden Lauder formation, but apparently this is dating to early Permian. And I wonder if there are also other creatures that they found in the vicinity, maybe certain early Permian species of amphibians. Not so sure about proto mammals. Possibly they haven't evolved yet. So let's see. Such soft tissue structures are extremely rare in the fossil record, and the further back we look in Earth's history, the more exceptional they become. The traces from the Thuringian forest open new perspectives on the early development of reptiles and their skin structures. Now, you already had it where reptiles had evolved during the Carboniferous period back over 325 million years ago, but they were also quite small at that time. I mean, we're referring to animals not much larger than certain species of salamander. So maybe just weighing a few ounces, if that. The newly described resting traces have been named Cabarskynus ulcus. The associated footprints display proportions similar to those of Bullosaurians, an early reptile group belonging to the stem lineage of modern lizards. The scale shapes range from diamond shaped to hexagonal and laterally pointed forms, showing remarkable similarities to skin structures observed in later groups of terrestrial vertebrates. Oh, definitely. I mean, it's probably referring to the different types of osteoderm or scale structures that at this point are quite rare in the animal kingdom, or at least when it comes to the reptilian lineage of animals. Particularly extraordinary is the potential evidence of a cloacal opening preserved near the base of the tail in one of the skin impressions. Most terrestrial vertebrates possess a cloaca, a single opening used for excretion and reproduction. Only placental mammals have separate openings. In the fossil record, the cloaca as soft tissue is almost never preserved in a clearly recognizable form. However, the Cabarrus specimen shows a narrow slit shaped impression near the tail base, suggesting that the cloaca of the Cabazarcanus tracemaker differed in shape and orientation from that of dinosaurs and crocodiles and more closely resembled those of turtles, lizards, and snakes. Yeah, it's quite interesting. But it definitely does show how different the Archosauromorphs, which is the lineage of reptiles that would go on to create the dinosaurs, the different crocodilomorphs, the pterosaurs, even certain other marine reptiles that um, that just created a wide variety of different types of also morphological structures, unlike the turtles, lizards, and snakes, which are very distantly related to the Archosauromorphs, though they did both derive from the same common ancestor. By documenting these traces from the Thuringian forest as part of the recently completed um, or Bro yeah, Bromacker research project, Dr. Marchetti and colleagues highlight the importance of trace fossils for evolutionary research. Their work demonstrates that fossil tracks and impressions can provide crucial anatomical information that is rarely preserved in skeletal remains. Trace fossils are far more than simple footprints. They preserve anatomical details that would otherwise be completely lost and play a key role in improving our understanding of the evolution of early terrestrial vertebrates. Well, it's unfortunate that we didn't get a look at like a picture of what specifically they found. Um, but it is good to hear that we found a very early Permian species of lizard or some type of reptile. We don't know specifically whether it's a lizard, well, though it most likely is of some type from Germany at this point. So this is over, I'd say, 65 million years before the first dinosaurs would appear, as well as different species of crocodilomorphs. And even the earliest archosauromorphs are not going to evolve for at least another 40 million years. So this is quite a crucial point in the evolutionary history of different types of, let's just say, a large percentage of the reptilian family um, or lineage. So let's head over to the next video. So from trail cams, let's take a look at this trail camera footage. Seems to be two bobcats just hanging out. This looks like maybe some part of, I mean, judging by the trees, it's over in the western United States.
That was 3.
Could be Colorado, maybe some part of, well, maybe I mean, it's possible Wyoming, but, could be Utah. Yeah, there's 3 of them. 'Em. They're definitely well fed and very puffy.
They move around like just normal cats. It's
I mean, these guys are very puffy. I wonder if these are just older cubs. They're really well fed. I'm I'm not sure if it's fat or it's just because it's winter, it's,
they're so
just
fluffy.
a puffy yeah, puffy bobcat. They tend to have that look. Seem very relaxed too, that's good to see. Wow, so this was back in January of 2025.
February 12th.
Hmm? This is, Jan well, I mean, when it
Oh, when
took
it took
place.
place.
See in the morning. Okay. Well, over to the next article from discoverwildlife.com. Size of a small car, weighs as much as an e-bike, and can live for 100 years. Okay, the biggest crab in the world is a leg span of nearly 4 meters or 13 feet and weighs about 13.6 kilograms or a little over 29 pounds. There he is. He's amongst some whale bones. Is that in the water? Hmm. So, in terms of linear dimensions, crabs don't come bigger. There's a museum specimen in the Netherlands that has a massive leg span of 3.7 meters or pushing around 12 and a half feet. Weighing 13.6 kilograms, the Japanese spider crab may also be the heaviest crab, but the Tasmanian giant crab, a stockier species, also has a claim there. So, oh, right. That is who I was thinking of originally, was the Japanese spider crab. So let's see. According to the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery, it can reach 17.6 kilograms or weighing somewhere around what 36, 37 pounds, which is nudging to the standard airline baggage allowance.
I've never heard that term used.
So also worth the mention is the coconut or robber crab of the Indo-Pacific at about 4 kilograms or about 10 pounds. It no, wait, well, it might be right. It is the heaviest of
It's
all
8.8 pounds, I think.
yeah, it is the heaviest of all terrestrial invertebrates and powerful enough to open coconuts. Oh, that one, which can easily, like, take off your finger. Actually, I think it can break, like, even possibly, your leg too. Its pincers are very powerful. It's like one of the most, powerful pincers of the crab family.
Is
Oh,
it pincer or pincher?
pincher. Oh, maybe pincher. I'd have to double check. I guess we could check this out. Um, or I think it's in a tank. I don't think this is in the
Yeah,
ocean.
it looks like it is. Wait, there's
No,
fish there's fish
you can
swimming
see
by.
the exhibit sign in the background.
Where?
Look, right there.
Uh, okay.
Um,
Somebody went to the grocery store and
yeah, that's what I was thinking of. It has a lobster tank atmosphere, except it seems to have a bit more space and his claws aren't rubber banded up. Okay, let's head over to the next video. I don't know what to say about that. Uh, maybe.
how can you be this stupid?
I don't know. The whole area, this doesn't really look like, Romania. I can't it's just there's a lot of, like, brown bear and human,
Idiocy?
um, interactions over there. Hmm, no idea.
Oh, we
So
didn't see anyone get eaten.
it's either, like, Western Russia or some part of Eastern Europe. I don't I don't think it's I mean, here's the thing, it could be in North America. I mean, it's very possible. I don't know, I'm just looking at the vegetation, doesn't look like anywhere in the Western United States or even Canada that you'd see that type of habitat and, um, that type of a bear physique as well. Just it differs depending on the subspecies. Okay, so, traveling back in time from Sci News, 2 new species of pterosaurs discovered in Mongolia. Paleontologists have described 2 species of Asdarchid pterosaurs from fossils found in the late Cretaceous Bayan Shari Formation in Mongolia's Gobi Desert. Oh boy, these guys. Zarkids were the most heavily built group of um, flying pterosaurs back in the Mesozoic era. They first evolved during the early Cretaceous period, around 140 million years ago, and they actually gained, decent sizes relatively early on. And many early Cretaceous Really, it's the early Cretaceous that you started to see many larger species of pterosaurs, so with wingspans over 12 feet, though it does look like, recently there was a discovery from the late Jurassic. It's not hitting me at the moment specifically where, I believe it was I don't remember exactly, but somewhere around 8 to a 10-foot wingspan or pushing approximately 3 meters, and in the early Cretaceous, especially by 130, 135 million years ago, you were already seeing 4-meter, wingspans being somewhat common. But when it comes to these darkids, they had very dense bone structures, and despite pterosaurs being seen as a whole as very lightly built and delicate, um, their their bones were actually quite robust, despite being quite hollow. So let's see. The two new species lived in Mongolia during the late Cretaceous epoch between 96 and 90 million years ago. Okay, so this is during the first 10 million years of the late Cretaceous. Named Gabias Darko Sobatari and uh, Satopteryx mongoliensis. Both flying reptiles belong to a cosmopolitan family of toothless, probably terrestrial foraging pterosaurs called Asdarchidae. The
Does that
problem
mean that
is,
they hung out, like, downtown New York? 'Cause they're
um,
cosmopolitan.
yeah, they definitely could today, and I wouldn't. Do we know how big these guys are? I mean, they're feeding on younger, it seems like smaller dinosaurs, which was not necessarily uncommon for pterosaurs, especially as darkid pterosaurs. So, yeah, you had quite a few species that were capable of taking humans. So, let's see. What was I getting? Oh, it's likely that it's a bit of a debate, but pterosaurs might have just simply been their own lineage of Archosauromorph and not reptiles, because we do have on many specimens of a wide range of different species from different periods in the Mesozoic era, so during the time of the dinosaurs, of having feathers or preserved pigment fibers. Okay, so let's take a look. So pterosaurs, the first vertebrate group to evolve powered flight. Not though gliding, because it looks like there were certain lizards prior to the Mesozoic era, especially during the Permian, possibly the Carboniferous, but definitely the Permian. So between about 305 and 252 million years ago, you had certain species of gliding lizards. But yes, when it comes to powered flight, it looks like the pterosaurs were the first. Let's see. Um, So exhibit a fossil record stretching from the late Triassic to the Cretaceous Paleogene boundary and an impressive diversity, said Heisei University paleontologist Xuanyu Zhu and colleagues from the Museo de Zoologia da USP and Hokkaido University Museum. Everybody is on this. So within pterosaurs, as Darkidae represents a very particular clade. At present, it includes at least 17 nominal species. Yeah, it has slightly increased over the past few years. Characterized mainly by their elongate cervical vertebrae with vestigial neural spines, as darkids are an almost ubiquitous presence in Turonian, Maastrichtian pterosaur assemblages worldwide. So, this is referring to different times in the Cretaceous when referring to the Turonian and Maastrichtian, being the most diverse and widespread group of pterosaurs during the late Cretaceous. Similar to other asdarcoids, they sported edentulous jaws and seem to have been relatively terrestrial in lifestyle compared to other pterosaurs. Now, the asdarchids, however, did not score any teeth. That was seen in other members of the pteranodonted lineage of pterosaurs. As darkids are well known, especially for including the largest flying creatures ever, comprising some gigantic forms with 10 to 11-meter wingspans, or somewhere between 33 to 36 feet, possibly reaching 12 meters, around 39 to 40 feet, such as Quetzalcoatlus northropi. This is probably the pterosaur with the longest wingspan, and to be the tallest as well, but it's not the most heavily built. Aramborgianae Philadelphiae, Hatzegopteryx thembemi. This is probably when referring to Hatzegopteryx, the most heavily built and species of pterosaur, and still having wingspans somewhere between 33 to 36 feet, or 10 to 11 meters, as well as the 9-meter or 30-foot wingspan of Thanatos draconamuro. I believe this animal was also somewhat heavily built. Technically, all four of these are. I just believe, or I'm not so sure about Aremborgianae, the second genus. But Thanatostracan might be in the middle between Hatzegopteryx and Quetzalcoatlus, or at least the larger Quetzalcoatlus species. There is a smaller species of Quetzalcoatlus that, gosh, I think it has a wingspan somewhere between 18 to 26 feet, or somewhere between like 5.5 meters to somewhere around 8 meters. Type specimens of Gabia's hard Draco. Okay, so I think this is the current species, or one of the two new species. So Sogsbatari and Sogopteryx mongoliensis were collected in the 1990s from two different localities of the Banshuri Formation, also spelled Banshire, Barishiri, Shire Formation. I feel like I'm ordering from a Mongolian pterosaur menu. Would you like some Barspoldia, Mongolian Barspoldia beef with that?
With some iguanodon on the side?
Well, that's England much earlier in time. So you would have to say like Caranosaurus. No, Caranosaurus lived much later in time. So did Barspoldia. So I'm wrong as well. Ugh. Who else? Saurolophus would probably be a better one. It's not hitting me the specific. Actually, they might even offer me Gigantoraptor, which was in Mongolia around 90 to 92 million years ago, but I wouldn't be interested. And I honestly wouldn't be interested in hadrosaurs as well. Um, they tend to be portrayed as very docile, even though it's very likely they would have been quite aggressive. I mean, considering they would have been one of the main prey items for like different species of Tyrannosaur at the time that they existed. Maybe even different species of dromaeosaurs, possibly even the youngsters, the Asdarchids. But what is it? Or something else. No, you have animals like capybara and jaguars hunt them, and they tend to be quite friendly, but just got to be careful with their teeth. So, um, yeah, no hadrosaurs. Let's see. So the Baron Shiri Asdarchids comprise two specimens, the Bashan Sav Asdarchid pterosaur, Sagopteropteryx, represented by an almost complete mid-cervical, and the Burkont Asdarchid, Darko, comprising an atlantoaxis, a cervical, a third cervical, and a partial mid-cervical. So I'm believing this is referring to both species were found with neck vertebrae. And the atlantoaxis is not hitting me what specific bone that is. These specimens were collected by the Hasharbara Museum of Natural Sciences Mongolian Paleontological Center Joint Paleontological Expedition in 1993 and 1995 from respectively the Bashan, Shav, and Burkhant localities. According to the team, Gobiaz Darko represents a medium-sized 3 to 3.5 meter wingspan, so around 10 to 12 feet, early member of a Quetzalcoatlus Aremborgianae lineage, as these other two genera had not evolved yet. They wouldn't evolve until much later in the Cretaceous. Subtopteryx is an early member of a Hatzegopteryx lineage and surprisingly seems to represent a small form under 2 meters in wingspan, or maybe around 6 feet. So it is interesting to note that Subtopteryx represents one of the smallest known as darkid species so far, only behind the 1.6 meter wingspan, or somewhere around 5 feet, formed by as darkid from the Campanian of Canada. So this Hornbias darkid that they're referring to existed in Canada somewhere around what Campanian. This could be 80 million years ago. The discovery of these two new species fills an important temporal gaps in the evolutionary history of Asdarchid pterosaurs. Our results shed fresh light on the diversity and phylogeny of Asdarchid pterosaurs. They also reinforce the reoccurring pattern of coexistence between multiple differently sized Asdarchid species from the same deposit. Okay, well, this is good to see. It's too bad we only found a handful of bones from these different species, but that can be the case with many new discoveries, and not just of pterosaurs, but even dinosaurs, prehistoric proto mammals, as well as like small mammals themselves.
Do you need me to pull up anything on them?
Um, no,
Mm.
Let's head to the next video. What do we have here? Looks like three grizzly bears walking in, I'm
No,
guessing, some part of the Rocky
r
Mountains.
read it.
Owners found their missing husky hanging out with three bears during a drone search. Okay. Um, that is strange. Maybe this isn't the Rocky Mountains. Maybe this is
Uh,
um hmm.
and the bears are just like, "Okay, we're going."
I'm kind of wondering if this is like a coastal area. I wonder if that's a Russian brown bear.
But I don't understand that they have no problem with him.
I'm kind of wondering if these maybe are Kamchatka brown bears. They don't seem to be there's something a bit off about them. Like they're not exactly Alaskan in look. Definitely not like different northern European brown bear. At least I don't think they are.
Yeah, but how do they have no
The
problem
blurred
with the
look.
dog?
Um, well, that's why I'm wondering because that's what I'm wondering because um, usually it's like certain coastal brown bears that seem to be this relaxed, unless you have a certain more inland brown bear population that just has access to a very abundant nutritional food source, so they're not going to be aggressive. That female looks incredibly fat and relaxed, or I'd say relaxed. She isn't too fat, but she is putting some weight on for her just not to be bothered by the husky. Um,
But I mean, not I mean, yeah, they're not even bothered by him. They're almost enjoying his company or her company, whatever company it is.
yeah, just hopefully, he doesn't have certain virus or anything that will affect them. And yeah, that's what I'm guessing. Maybe or maybe they are Kamchatka brown bears. So that would be the Kamchatka coast of Russia. So let's see. From sciencenews.org, fossilized vomit reveals 290 million year old predator's diet. Regurgitated material contains the prey of a hunter that lived before the dinosaurs. Well, I mean, this is close to the same time as that reptile that was found over in Germany, but this is a bit later. So this is approaching the time that Dimetrodon would have existed, the proto mammal, which seems to be this individual right here. Actually, Dimetrodon are this proto mammal is from both the United States, especially different parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, as well as Germany. Now, this species of lizard, I wonder who specifically he is. Oh, it's in. Oh, well, there's also this guy. I didn't see him. Eudebamus corosus. So this is, I believe, him. I think it's a reptile, non-amphibian.
Is that thing supposed to be throwing up?
Yep.
That just looks weird. It
And
looks like a fur ball
yeah, it does.
or a feather ball.
That's a lot. But Thuringothyrus malindorfi. Wait a second. Oh, foreground, background. Okay, this is specifically the Thuringothyrus, and this is the Eudebamus. All right, let's take a look. Look how much color they gave that lizard. Or at least, they didn't give him a dull complexion. But it's a really big question for lizards and how colorful they would be even back then. So 290 million years ago, in a mountain valley within the central region of the supercontinent Pangaea, an apex predator snapped up at least three other animals and sometime later puked up the bones. No, maybe he didn't take enough water beforehand. Um, maybe one of them had become a bit too rotten. I'm just trying to guess. That material hardened over the ages and is now the oldest fossilized vomit ever discovered from a land-based ecosystem. The cluster of bones and digestive material provides rare information published January 30th in scientific reports about the behavior of some of the world's earliest land predators. So it's kind of like a photograph of a moment in the past that is telling us about the animal that was living, says Arnaud Rebillard, a paleontologist at Museum für Naturkunde in Berlin. Data that we can find about their behavior is very precious. Paleontologists discovered the lime-sized specimen in 2021 at a site called the Bromacher locality in central Germany. Oh, this is from the same area that they found that other reptile. Hmm. Okay, so we're getting a better insight. I might have been off on the time with this Dimetrodon species specifically. Researchers then scanned the bones to create 3D models showing a cluster of parts from different animals, suggesting they had come from a predator's gut. They also chemically analyzed the material surrounding the bones and found that it was low in phosphorus, suggesting it was not a fossilized dropping. Oh, well, that's a lot of good info right there. So we definitely have more signs showing that this was vomit, early Permian vomit. Wow. That's a lot.
It just amazes me that it can petrify or
Yeah, just quickly fossilized. I wonder if it must have been quickly been buried by sediment. We do have evidence that Dimetrodon was hanging out around different riverbeds, marshes, so it's very possible that
could he have
um,
also buried it himself?
he could have. Predators will somewhat bury their prey. So, this shows a photo of the complete specimen of fossilized vomit on the top left, as well as a computer scan of the specimen highlighting its cluster of 41 bones on the bottom left, and scans of the subset of 25 bones that the team could attribute to prey species on the right.
So it just couldn't digest them.
Um,
That's a lot of bones.
Maybe, but I think what happened, something was off with his digestive system, and he just I would think with a certain proto mammal like Dimetrodon, he would be able to digest the bones. So, at least somewhat. That's a lot. While the specific predator that regurgitated the bones is unknown, the researchers strongly suspect that it was one of two animals that resemble today's monitor lizards like Komodo dragons. Um. Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe because of the picture, they had found the specimen adjacent with it.
I thought they did too.
And it's a big guess. So you have Dimetrodon teutonus, the species of Dimetrodon in Germany, which is distinct from the ones over in North America, with a prominent sail on its back, and Tamba carnifex unguiphiloctus. I've heard of this specific species. Um, it's another, I believe, proto mammal or synapsid in the region, and I don't believe it has a distinct sail like the Dimetrodon. So, though reptilian in appearance actually, okay, I might be off on that. It's not the same, morphology or overall structure as Dimetrodon, but I believe it is somewhat, um, similar in, like, an elongated back vertebrae structure. Though reptilian in appearance, both are from a group of animals called synapsids that includes mammals and their extinct relatives. So, yes, even elephants, bears, wolves, deer, people were all synapsids. Among the 41 disgorged bones, the researchers were able to distinguish two small lizard like reptiles and a limb bone from a larger reptile like herbivore. This collection of remains, along with several unidentified bones, it indicates that the predator ate whatever it could find rather than specializing in a specific type of prey. I think it's just one of those instances where the carnivores are just taking advantage of, let's say these were already dead. They're just taking advantage of the available meats. Though I wonder if the carcasses might have been a little too far gone. 'Cause unless the animal was already sick itself and it couldn't, just didn't have the ability to digest them in this situation. So, there's a variety of circumstances that could have occurred here. I don't It's just a bit hard to believe with the healthy, Dimetrodon or the, was it Temba carnifex would have intaken these fresh, smaller creatures and then just have thrown them up. Unless maybe it was supposed to be for their young and like wolves, African painted dogs. Um, they would have regurgitated food for their youngsters, but we don't have any evidence for that type of parenting behavior. Certainly is possible, but it's just a big question as to how this could have occurred. So, let's see. So, among the 41 disgorged bones, researchers were able. Wait, did I say this? I think I already did. Okay, so because the fossilized vomit or regurgitalis contains three different animals eaten by one predator, we can literally say for sure that these three animals were living at exactly the same place and at exactly the same time, maybe to the week or even to the day. Several living predators habitually regurgitate bones and other body parts that are tough to digest after eating. Scientists don't know if this is why the ancient animals spit up the bones. Okay, I guess that wasn't hitting me with certain carnivores even today. But still is quite interesting. Actually, I think it can happen with certain, birds of prey, maybe even certain owls or hawks that can regurgitate the bones. So here we have a, model of a dimetrodon. This isn't a bad structure. It's interesting. They almost gave it like a lip-like structure. It's very possible that we might be reconstructing dimetrodon now with lips. But, looking at the feet. I'm guessing by the, opposite end, especially looking at the forelegs, so the front legs, and it has all 5 digits. The back feet or the hind legs, they seem to be okay. The tail's alright. This would be, like, over, yeah, in Germany during the early Permian, and definitely Dimetrodon liked having a lot of, or being around different marshes. And looking at the different species of Dimetrodon, you would have had different species that would have had much thinner snouts, which it's possible that the one over in Germany is this specific species with a thinner snout. And then there is, I believe, some species of amphibian, probably a relative of Eriops, which is amphibian from the United States that Dimetrodon possibly would have hunted.
Do we have this much of him?
Oh, yeah. We have that all I believe most, maybe not including the, skull, but it's based off of a, preserved Dimetrodon skull specimen. Pretty much the rest of that skeleton is completely intact. Dimetrodon has some of the best preserved fossils, especially from the Permian period, and when it comes to prehistoric animals that have been discovered. And I believe this one was also from the red beds of north central Texas. So, yeah, this is a very well preserved specimens. All of these specific bones, as you can see, there's slight little separations in the back vertebrae. Those are all pieces of those distinct vertebrae that are being attached. So yeah, this is a very complete skeleton. Dimetrodon was also one of the first proto mammals or carnivores in general that had somewhat the ability to efficiently chew. So similar to many species of carnivores today, especially hyenas. And
And he's how old?
well, depending on the species, you could be pushing around definitely between 280 to 290 million years ago. So, very efficient predator. Not very quick though, because when you look at this animal, um, he has very short ankle and then wrist bones, and apparently, where is his upper arm bone?
Does he have one?
Yeah, it's, barely showing. Definitely if you now the interesting thing is if you look at his shin and his thigh bone, he has a longer shin bone than his thigh bone, or at least by the side view here. Um, if anything, it's at least the same length, but he still probably wasn't too quick of an animal. Probably has somewhat ability to, quickly walk, maybe a somewhat run. If he was able to run, probably wasn't for a very long distance. Um and this animal was around 15 feet in length or pushing over or around 5 meters and could probably weigh a little more than 500 pounds or over what's 230, 240 kilograms. All right. Well, was that it? No, no, no. I think there was a bit more. I see his dark. So let's see. Scientists don't know if this is why the ancient animals split or spit up the bones, but it is one of the most plausible explanations along with simply overeating. I think the overeating might have been it could have been caused, especially if he didn't have enough water beforehand. I would just assume that, if this was a dehydrated, Dimetrodon, he's going to have a big problem. But, there is a wide variety of circumstances. Fossilized or fossils of partially digested material, including regurgitates, as well as fossilized species, are valuable clues for studying Earth's past. We
Oh,
need
I
fossils.
heard regurgitated feces. Feces.
Yeah,
And I went, "Wait, what? That's
yeah,
not what you said."
we were focusing on vomit. All of a sudden, that pops up. It's like, whoa. Uh, so we need fossils like this to really tie together how the ecosystem functioned, how the food webs were structured. Says Martin Varnstrom, a paleontologist at Uppsala University in Sweden, who is not involved in the new study. The German regurgitate is particularly exciting because the Bromacker site preserves a snapshot of an early terrestrial ecosystem. Older predators that could travel on land often lived in semi aquatic environments where they hunted crustaceans and fish. The Permian period represents a time when large herbivores became prominent in inland environments, followed by new predators. Fossil dung and vomit are much rarer in inland environs than in aquatic ones. That's probably because in the aquatic or well, you could say well, aquatic or semi-aquatic, so marshes or even the sea, it takes a much longer time for the dung to decompose. To wait a second. That's not necessarily true because water helps break down the dung. It's probably because there's a much more likely chance for certain type of erosion to occur and cover the dung. In some cases, might have, less exposure to certain types of scavengers in the ocean, though there's a wide variety of scavengers in the ocean that will prey on fish dung. So let's see, or whale dung, they love that, but that's really the fish themselves sometimes. We're talking about almost 300 million-year-old ecosystems. So to have such a temporal vision about this to the day they were living in the same area in the same moment is extremely fascinating. So yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting circumstance, kind of like what happened with that shark vomit from I think the beginning of the Paleocene epoch, or um, the Cenozoic era, the age of mammals, right after the dinosaurs went extinct over in Denmark. So it's quite interesting. Let's take a look at another video. Okay, so here we are, probably somewhere in Eastern Africa, judging by the open landscape. There's just a jackal messing with lion by Wildlife Uncensored. Oh yeah, these are. That's funny. I respect the jackal's boldness, but why they do it, it almost makes me wonder if jackals are one of those predators that really are not too concerned about food availability because
Or
they
being
don't.
eaten?
Yeah, they don't really need a lot. Oh, I'd say they okay. They are a bit too. Um, there are quite a few instances where they just take too large of risks, and lion, the cheetah, leopard, hyena ends up getting them. I think
I
less
don't
often.
think that lion's doing anything other than looking at him going, "What are you doing?
Yeah, he's just annoyed.
Is it one of my cubs?"
Let's see. So from discoverwildlife.com, the biggest snake den on the planet, 100,000 crammed into a small cavern. I believe this is over in some part of southern Canada, or I believe adjacent to maybe even some part of the Dakotas, North Dakota, South Dakota. Probably not South Dakota. Big difference between the like ecoregions or the ecosystems between the northern part of North Dakota, especially in the central region, and the northern part of South Dakota. If you have a phobia of snakes, you will be well advised to avoid the Narcisse snake dens of Manitoba, Canada. Okay. Maybe we have to push it over to some part of Minnesota, but I'm just talking about the states that are directly under Manitoba and neighboring Saskatchewan, Canada, but probably North Dakota too. The name gives it away. This wildlife reserve is the winter habitat of tens of thousands of red-sided garter snakes, Thamnophis sertalis paratialis. This is a pretty well-renowned occurrence when it comes to the breeding session of these red-striped garter snakes. These pretty snakes with red spots and yellow stripes are widespread across the northern United States and southern Canada. When the weather is warm, they live in mossy or marshy landscapes where they feed primarily on frogs. Then, as winter approaches, they slither off to find a place to hunker down and hibernate. So, yeah, they are quite, um, or at least when it comes to their prey menu, they tend to focus on smaller species of frogs. Not sure about certain species of toads in this area, but certainly possible that they might go after young chicks, especially of ground dwelling birds. So the Narcissus snake dens. That was weird. What happened? What on earth? Um. Oh, that's strange. Something wrong with Discover Wildlife at the moment.
Whoa.
I've seen this occur with other. Okay, we're gonna just have to leave
Well,
this.
I'm gonna do it one more time.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, head over to the next video. Oh no. First off, 4 tigers, but, this crane, let me guess, he actually makes it. Lions tend to be pretty quick when it comes to birds getting their enclosure. They might somewhat play with them harshly, but, the bird ends up getting eaten. Doesn't matter if it's a duck, goose, crane, but,
What does it think it's doing? Just looking for friends?
um, somehow it got just stumbled into there, but, here's the thing, tigers are quite nervous when it comes to big cats. So, it's not surprising that this crane is actually able to stand up to, well, all 5 of them,
Well,
but, yeah, this wouldn't be happening with lions.
and bye-bye.
Okay, you have one of oh, okay, never mind, yeah, he got too bold. Wow, okay. These tigers have my respect.
More crane.
They were showing that timidness at first, but it was almost like, "Hmm,
What are we looking at?
I'm not sure if it was that or, how what is the likeliness of me not getting pecked and being able to just grab it and, quickly sever its neck?" And, well, it's pretty high. Wow. Um, that was insane, though. 5 or 6 tigers in a little area. Anyway, from abc.net.au, guessing this is coming from Australia. 3-foot carpet python found in toilet keeps Wapena resort campers cross-legged. This is not necessarily uncommon to occur over in Australia. This has happened with a wide variety of snakes in the country. So it's still funny. Campers at Wapena Resort. Yeah, even you know what? At a resort, it's just not surprising. In Ikara Flinders Ranges National Park is an idyllic location surrounded by nature, but sometimes nature gets in the way. When cleaners discovered a carpet python in the dunning, campers were forced to hold on days. Um, National Parks and Wildlife Service Ranger James Tomlinson said to Rory McLaren, the snake wasn't overly keen on coming out.
I thought this would have been a bigger is there a video?
I got a feeling that it's an audio thing. Okay, well, heading whoa to the next video. It's somewhere in Russia.
When Uncle Lynx comes to visit.
I mean, it's very possible it's like some rescue center and somebody just has links and they brought it inside. Okay, this is definitely strange. There's a chihuahua and your lynx is
I'm not sure that's a chihuahua.
and what is oh, those are both cats. That's a very distinct, breed of cat. Wow. Okay. He has established a bond with the puppies. This is quite astonishing.
Yep, he's cleaning them.
Yeah, those are chihuahuas.
Did he adopt them?
It seems that way. And there's a Pomeranian. You have the whole crew of small dogs in here. What? There's more. Wow.
I didn't watch the whole thing beforehand. I just thought it looked funny.
Okay. Hopefully he has some space. Okay, so from news.mongabay.com. So on to the final article. From Europe's under pressure bats face astonishing threat, ambushed by rats.
So a flying rat ambushed by a rat.
I mean, geez, if that's what some people want to call certain bats. But yeah, they're very distantly related. And here's the thing, rats are not native to Europe. They are exclusively from Asia, especially different parts of China and India is where they're native to. So now there are certain native species of rat over in North America and as well even Africa, possibly South America and Australia, but not Europe. Despite there being an animal called the Norwegian black rat, it's not native to Norway, and I wonder if this is the culprit. It's specifically the Asian brown rat. Researchers have captured video of an unexpected predator at two bat hibernation sites in northern Germany. Invasive brown rats that lie in wait to intercept the bats in mid flight. Invasive rodents are known predators of native islands, including bats. However, this is likely the first time invasive brown rats, Rattus norvegicus. Oh, they even gave it a somewhat, I think, Norwegian sort of species name. Have been recorded feasting on bats in urban hibernation sites of continental Europe, researchers say in a recent study. Sheesh, that is not good. Because bats in Central Europe are increasingly threatened by human activities such as urbanization, light pollution, and road construction, it is becoming harder for them to reach their winter hibernation sites. Florian Glozarask, study co-author and bat researcher at the Museum of Natural History Berlin, told Mongabay by email. If an additional stress factor, predation by invasive species, is added, populations may weaken and decline further. Yeah, this is not good with the rats and maybe certain other invasive species that they have to deal with, like the American mink. I wouldn't doubt it. The brown rat, believed to be native to parts of Asia, not believed, it is that is official. Colonized Central Europe in the 18th century or 1700s, and has since become pervasive in the region, cities, and towns. Central Europe, everywhere in Europe. In northern Germany, the researchers observed rats preying on native bats at two sites. Segerberger Kalkberg, caved in the town of Bad Segerberg, and Lüneburger Kalkberg, a rocky hill with crevices in the city of Lüneburg. I have to say, you feel disgusted, sad, terrified, well, not terrified, but horrified at what's going on. And at the same time, you want a burger because Berg's like Hamburg, Germany. Anyway, both
A
sites.
rat burger?
No, gosh, no. Um, yeah. Both sites are winter roosts for thousands of bats, including Daubenton's bat, Myotis dembentoni, Natur's rat, Myotis naturae, and the rare Bechstein's bat, Myotis beschentani, and pond bat, Myotis dashnim, Glossarosk said. At Segberg, the team installed infrared video cameras at the cave entrance in late August 2020 and ran them until early October. Over those 5 weeks, they observed brown rats frequently patrolling a landing platform at the cave's entrance and adopting one of two hunting strategies, snatching bats as they flew in or catching them as they landed on the platform. Sheesh. It's like the North Korea Chinese border. Um, or okay, maybe that's not a good comparison. What's something animal wise? Um,
Wait, there's
Oh,
a
oh, no, no, no.
North Korea Chinese border?
Yeah, China borders North Korea, right? Yeah. Okay. So, what is it? Okay, basically, wildebeest or zebras are trying to get across the Mara River. It's not just the Mara River over in um, Kenya and northern Tanzania. You even have it at other rivers throughout sub-Saharan Africa where they have to worry about Nile crocodiles. But and they're just patrolling there. Even the hippos want some wildebeest steak now and then. So, let's see. So, snatching bats as they flew in or catching them as they landed on the platform. We were impressed by the fine motor skills of the brown rats. Yeah, it was astonishing how precisely and skillfully they could catch bats in midair. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, back to the China North Korea border, they are native to the region when it refers to the brown rats. So they probably do it to maybe even certain bats in that certain area as well. Jeez. The researchers also found a stash of at least 52 dead bats in a rat feeding site, suggesting the rats regularly caught and hoarded the bats they raped. Yeesh. At Lundberg, the team using handheld thermal imaging devices detected brown rats around crevices that bats enter through. They also observed a cache of bat carcasses deep in a rock fissure, like at Sigburg, although they didn't directly observe rats eating bats. Like they just caught them, but they didn't eat them? That doesn't make any sense. Rats will eat a lot of things. But what is it? Minks are some of the best efficient hunters when it comes to taking out rats. So there should be, a few people that there's certain people in the United States that specifically take their minks to certain people's farms that are having a rat problem, and the minks flush out the rats. Oh, they kill them too, but they do it very efficiently. So, though dogs are very efficient, mink hunters as well. I think there are also some people that they have their minks, they're raised with the dogs, and they hunt the rats together. So,
You
um
said dogs are mink hunters.
oh, okay, the dogs and the minks hunt the rats. Cats can be somewhat efficient, it really depends on the individual, but dogs can be much more efficient. And cats at some point kind of just think, "Okay, I'm done. I gave you 3. Now, give me a treat." Dogs are like, "No, no, no, just well, I think he might want a treat too, like maybe a piece of bacon or something." But, um
I knew someone that had an office that had a warehouse underneath it, and a cat they had would, kill mice at night and then line them up at their desk.
oh, well, I haven't heard of the desk thing. I have heard of, them, lining the rats with the mice up, but that's interesting. Yes, them they're showing their, I guess, loyalty to, controlling the pests. So let's see. Sheesh. Where were we? The fact that rats were present as predators at both large bat hibernacula struck us as remarkable. We now hope to hear about similar observations from other parts of the world. He added they hope their results will encourage local authorities to allocate resources for controlling rat populations. I know we went over a little way, a little further back of those bats eating the birds mid flights, but it's like, it's a native species. It's hunting another native bird. It's like it's just, a part of the ecosystem. But this, it's like it's a brown rat. Several brown rats. They're going after the bats. It's like it's horrible. It's
They're saying
invasive.
because 'cause they're invasive rats.
Yes, invasive exotic species. And going after the indigenous ones, it's horrible. I don't know. I mean, should we? Jeesh, brace yourselves. Oh no, jeesh, she did catch it. Oh no, Remy, no, don't do this. Go back to working in the kitchen. It's from Ratatouille.
And
Sheesh.
it grabbed it again. That's
Not just that, it's other diseases that even the rats could,
why
bring
aren't the
to the
bats just
bats.
getting away from them?
Yeah. So, was there anything else?
Oh, that was a
Oh, hmm. So, yeah, that's really unfortunate. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the positive when it came to the current animals in this situation because I'm actually concerned about that cougar over in Brazil. That's just relaxingly walked into that midst of people. So, thanks for joining. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guy Live Daily News. We will see you later at 6 p.m. and 6 p.m. Central. Thanks for watching. And nothing is better than all animals